Hello and welcome to Hair in the Hawthorne. My name's Kate Ray. It's been quite a while since I've been on, and that's because I have been super busy over the last few months. Lots of exciting projects going off, and my guest today has been part of one of the really big, exciting projects that I've been part of, and we've just been sat discussing all kinds of aspects of it, which have been really, really exciting. So, I have John Shackleton from the Supernatural UK. I'm going to try and get that right because I keep dropping which is terrible. So we're welcoming John onto the program. Thank you for coming and sitting with me this evening, John. How are you doing?
Thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Brilliant, brilliant. So the Supernatural UK, my S's are going to go all over the place. You see, this is going to be one of those things that will take me a while to start speaking properly, which isn't great. The Supernatural UK we'll get into in a little while, but I
Right.
want to kick this off by chatting about you, really. I know that you've done projects for mainstream TV, and I think one of the things that intrigues me is the juxtaposition from what you were doing on mainstream TV, Channel 4, to Supernatural UK. So, just a little bit about those projects, those recent projects that you've been doing on mainstream.
Well, it balls back a little bit further than that in that just for the background on it. I was always kind of went to film school, gonna be the big filmmaker, bloody hell, yeah, movies, movies, movies. And then when that wasn't paying any bills and I started to get some work in TV, it was like, oh, so I could just be over here, do these TV jobs, get paid, and then their contracts, and then when they end, it's like, oh, I can go back over here. And I go back over there and I write something, and then try and raise some money for it, and then I get a call, oh, and I'm back over here again. And it was two definite channels, and it was one or the other, and there was never an intersection. And when I'm
Mm,
over here, my TV, my escapes the countries and all this stuff that I was doing, You Are What You Eat, and all these various random TV shows that I didn't even watch, making those in the day, but then writing these, I wouldn't talk about those in the film world because I'm this kind of film purist kind of guy, this movie director. And then when I'm over there, I wouldn't mention the movie stuff. It's like, no, no, I make this stuff all day long. And then I was wearing these two hats for so many years, and then I kind of started to feel like this kind of crazy schizophrenic, and I was like, I just need to just wear one hat. So it was
mm,
finding the place where, they intersected. And it's not just that, it's like all the TV work is documentary, so it's reality. It's not reality. I've never worked in reality TV. I work in sort of more observational documentary based stuff where you're working with real people from real walks of life in various things from whatever it may be. I might be filming with a lobster farmer one day, and then the next day I might be filming with somebody who's got, I don't know, dogs that smell cancer or something for another program. And and it's varied and it's interesting. So you meet lots and lots of different people. So yeah, it was eventually it was just finding something that worked and something that made some sort of sense to me. And yeah, through I don't know how many years it took for the drift to happen, but it did kind of collide with this, where I said, no, the TV stuff can be cinematic, but if I'm going to do TV stuff, it needs to be TV stuff that I'm interested in. It needs to be stuff that I do want to watch, and then I'll give it the weight and the effort that has to go into every movie. Because for every movie that gets made, there's 20 that you've tried to get made that you failed at. So it's a really, really, really hard world, and that world's bizarre because it's like you would never design and build a car when no one's asked for it, and then
mm.
out there and say, "Here's my car. Does the world want to buy my car?" And that's what people do with indie movies. It's bizarre. And then they put so much time, effort, love, and passion into making this car. Then someone comes along and says, Can you drive it for me?" They go, "Hey, sure," and they just drive it off the forecourt. You never see it again,
Yeah,
and it's that's my analogy with the movie industry. It's bonkers. It makes no sense. In TV, they pay you to go and do a job, and I'm kind of like, well, if I can bring all of this together so that somehow I can get paid to do something that I'm interested in without having to ask for permission to do it, or there's no one breathing down your neck telling you how to do it. That's my idea of sort of liberation, fun, and all the rest of it. And I guess that is my convoluted way of saying that's how we got to this stage of having this show. Many years of confusion and, you know, railroad tracks going off in different directions. But then eventually I'm at a place where I'm thinking, this is quite cool. I'm making something that I'm genuinely into and interested in, and it's got the longevity to keep me entertained for a long time to come because we're asking some of the biggest questions, right? It's
Yeah,
just-
definitely, definitely. I mean, you said about the cinematic aspect of what you do, and seeing clips of things that you've done for TV, there is a signature to how a story is created visually by yourself that's carried on through the Supernatural UK, which I'm delighted about because I'm a big fan of things looking beautiful on screen, and shot with passion. And that has been, I think, a massive lack within the paranormal TV world that it's concentrating on um I suppose the jump scares and the drama of it, etc. And this the beauty for me is the intimacy that kind of cinematography creates. Um, was that very much of a conscious thing during
Well,
this filming?
as I say, I kind of breezed into this space out of personal interest, and it's not like if you back to trying to make a movie analogy, it's not like I'm trying to make a my knockoff version of Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels or something. You know what I mean? It's like everything's got a look, everything's got a style, but hopefully you're trying to find your own way
Mhm,
of doing things. So it was quite useful in a way that I'm not of the paranormal world. I'm not, I'm not subscribed to that. I don't watch the shows. I don't know how it goes down. I can tell you the movies that have done it and the movie references throughout the history of time. Sure, but I've never applied myself to
mhm,
it. So yeah, I guess it's that naivety of I don't know how it's supposed to be done, but I know that
mhm,
everything that I've sat down and watched in the TV space for paranormal, I've just felt grotesquely let down and mugged off, to
mhm,
be frank, because it's like, again, and because knowing how TV is made, you can make a mountain out of a molehill, and they often do. We've all seen those American shows where, we're hanging on to this one tiny little thing. I'm not even talking paranormal now, just like
mhm,
Americans are worse at this. And they leave you hanging and tee it up. But this is going to happen after the ad break. Then you come back and they replay it again and again and again and
mhm,
get to it. And we've seen it 12 times. And then we
mhm,
see it deeply underwhelming. And then there's nothing else to add to it. So the whole story has just been about this one little teeny incident, and that's what it seems to me that happens a lot in the paranormal. So they mask it with this kind of veneer of quick edits and I don't know, just this. It's almost like a stock kit of let's have the grunge effects for. Oh, we're doing a paranormal show, are we? That's that bit off the shelf and that bit off the shelf. You've done paranormal before, yeah? Come on this way, and we know 'cause you're making a show. It's got our bums on seats. If it doesn't get viewing figures, it doesn't get recommissioned. We all know that you go and do a paranormal event,
mhm,
experience, evening, it's long, it's boring, it's tedious, and a lot of the time nothing happens. But do you think they care about that? They want to make sure that people watch it and tune in. So what are you going to do? Nothing happened. And you can see the exec just sitting there, almost folded, going, "Hey man, this is shit." Scream some more for God's sakes. I did have to be American, but you know what I mean? It's like, so they have to manufacture things to a degree. I don't think they're going with that intention, but demands must be met.
yeah,
So that's, in my view, that's why things end up looking like they're all from the same jelly mold. And because we've been battered around the head with it for so long, it just feels very tedious to people. So it seems a bit like an open goal to
mm,
walk in. So if I just did it my way, which seems to be working quite well on Channel 4, Channel 5, la la la, I'm not gonna. Yes, we're filming at night, but I'm not shooting it in the dark with a green
yes,
screen camcorder up someone's nostrils telling me how scared they are because they heard maybe a footstep upstairs, three flights away. Not
Yeah.
interested.
There's definitely been this, like you say, off the shelf formulaic
Yeah.
method, and it has worked. I mean, it's worked for the last 20 or 30 years. We've got programs in this country, and it still does work to some extent. But I've definitely felt that tide turning over the last 5 years. I have discussions with people when I'm out at conferences, when I'm out on events. And for those who are in the paranormal or have a vested interest within the paranormal, they're now saying, yeah, it's great, that has a quality to it, and there's an entertaining quality to it, and there's a certain amount of education that we can get from it because we're seeing different methods and different devices and stuff. But they're all saying this is not how it is. This is not how it is. And I think it's a very fine balance then, isn't it, to get that kind of um, keeping interest and not boring people with a longevity of the hours in between. So how does the program kind of adapt to that space, if you like, that kind of in between space of nothing happening, and just putting in the good bits, because it kind of includes all aspects, and how does that knit together?
Well, I say nothing's happening, but we have been very fortunate that things always do happen. So I know what my tent poles of each episode are going to look like because I was there, and it's like,
Hmm.
excuse me, there was a fuck me moment at 2:33 in the morning, and and that was a bit weird. La la la. So I've got two or three things that I know that's my general framework for it, but beyond that. I know the location is a world's first. No one's investigated here before. No one's put this team together before. You know,
Hmm.
no one's chucked this kit at it before. And making a show isn't all about equipment and technology and the latest gadgets and gizmos in front of the camera or behind. It's not. The storytelling is what's really important, I think. But I've got all that to fall back on. So in my view, when I go into an investigation and we've got everybody. I mean, occasionally we get all the bells and whistles, so we get Rob on sound, so we've got sound recordists with us, and we've got me and Andy. Sometimes we've got another cameraman or two. James might be with us, and suddenly it's all bigger and better and more exciting, and we know that we're going to capture stuff. Other times, like in the Nottingham episode, it's just me on my own, you know.
Yeah.
But I know that I've got a fallback. I know that the story is going to be in Nottingham, which is now out the objects that move. I know that between the two investigators, there's a dynamic that's going to give us something.
Hmm.
A different methodologies, their different approaches are going to give us something. There's a million crazy, creepy ass looking objects in one place. That's going to give me something, But I went into that particular one as skeptical as Justin. It's like
Hmm.
it's a creepy old doll shop, really. And then again, we just got lucky and things happened. So when things happen, when I've got my tent poles, I know that all the interesting bits between Justin and Diane. I know how that's going to flow. I know myself.
Hmm.
We've worked out a framework for it, the format, if you like, for the show, but we didn't go in with one.
Hmm.
I just knew that anything creepy happens, anything paranormal happens, or anything discussion worthy happens, that's the meat of it, and then everything
Hmm.
else forms the spine of it. But it's always going to be a narrative where we we hear the story of where we're going. Here's the mythology. Here's what people have reported. In come our investigators. We film what happens, and that's what I do in my day job in the TV. At the moment I'm working on Narrow Escapes for Channel 4, and there might be two contributors who have left the rat race and they've bought their dream narrowboat and they're traversing the UK, going from A to B, and we know we've got a story, and anything in between is the human interest stuff. It's
Yeah.
their new business, their relationship, their life change, or their health has got better because they're out in nature or whatever. So this is what excited me. You've got all of this stuff, but you've also got the potential, the possibility that something might happen. And I just got into that naively and innocently, foolhardy, and gone, well, so let's see. And I've got lucky. Oh, have I got lucky? I don't know if. Well, I feel lucky for having been there to capture it, but I think maybe the combination of the people that I'm surrounded with and the locations that we go to. And Karen has introduced me. Karen Besant has introduced me to everybody in this space, and we've found something. I think we've just found a little format. I don't really know how. That sounds like a very convoluted, long answer to quite a simple question.
No, no, no. That's great. I think one of the things I really liked when I was filming with you was the fact that I absolutely forgot that you guys were filming. And I think I said to you at the end of a very long night, I said, I don't know what words I used. I hope I don't come across like a numpty or something like that, because I literally had forgotten that that I lost any kind of inclination to look professional or on TV. And I think that comes across with the other investigators in the first two episodes as well, that they are completely genuinely being them as investigators.
At
And
one
the
point, you
people,
said to me, "Oh, just put the camera down, John, and step in. Come here." And I'm like, What?" And points me out from my safety net behind the camera, and then suddenly I'm in front of the camera. I'm like, well, I'm not too sure about this, but that was your disregard for the filming. That was like your focus on this is what's happening here and now. Come here, get stuck
yeah.
in. Brilliant. I'm like, okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
you were saying earlier about you don't know whether things were happening because of the people and the places, but I actually think that um, your state of mind as well, that you are utterly open and with no preconceived ideas about, what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, also opens things up, because it's when the most activity that you get is usually when energy is high. Now, whether that's heightened through fear, heightened through excitement, that's when you start getting those kind of bits of activity. And I know when I kind of dragged you out and said, I completely forgot, and I don't investigate on my own normally, and I was on my own, and it was just like it's too exciting not to sort of get this hyped up. And I think it definitely did. It when I dragged you both in, it kind of heightened things up within that episode and made things really interesting. So I think it's you as well, and I think that's very much the development of the program, is that it's not just about the people in front of the camera, because you have become in front of the camera and Andy's become in front of the camera.
That was
So the
I have to
filmmakers
say,
have
reluctant. Yeah.
but that's brilliant, because it's all those relationships as well that you can start to see unfolding, the relationships between investigators that haven't investigated together before. I mean, for somebody like Justin to Mr. Harden skeptic to the point of, I love his sarcasm, but he being sarcastic about those photographs, and I'm not going to give too much away, but
Damn,
you
it's
know
out. It's available to watch that one. So
yes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But if people haven't watched it, just look at Justin's face
What
when he,
rights? What rights? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and when he takes it away, he's like, I don't believe this crap. And I saw psychological chinks towards the end. There was a nervousness around one particular object that was brought down. I just thought, that's interesting. That's interesting, and I think that will develop as well. That kind of looking at different characters and why they're in the status.
But that's it, because those people are under the microscope from us as well. Because Nottingham one, as a great example, I had to go on my own. So we had my camera, we had two GoPro cameras and a 360 camera, and we're in this very confined space. And we're
Yes.
so cameras are trained on people all the time. There's nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide. When I'm scared, Andy will be in the edit and go, "Hmm," and he'll have a sneaky little shot of me going. But he also found that amazing moment on Justin on the 360 camera, and he did this little pan up, and Justin's like, you just see his eyes go, and you're like, I saw that with my own eyes, but
Yeah.
Andy saw it in the edit and helped pull that out. Just to hang on, there's a shred of doubt in somebody who's so steadfast in his opinions earlier. He's like, in the moment, I saw
Mm.
it in his eyes, and I felt it down there, because I'm sorry, that place was bloody weird, and I'm sandwiched between a corridor with a bloody nun and shark girl down there, two censors, this other doll, some other creepy thing in a wedding dress there. Those guys sat in front with succubus dolls and all that stuff, and then the stairway up, and they're asking for things to happen, and there's a sound of dragging and footsteps
Mm.
directly above our heads when we know there's nothing there. There's the vibration sensors going off, and there's Justin demanding a full apparition or whatever. Come running down the stairs right now, and I'm like, seriously, please don't, because you're going to run straight into me, and I've kind of just about had enough right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so yeah,
I mean,
that place.
I'm ashamed to say, Nottingham is my home city, and I've not been there yet. And I do need to go, but I think,
Level of
yeah,
skepticism, I'm sure, because it's an attraction. It's something that charges money to
mhm.
exploit from people to exploit that. When I'm there, before I was even filming, there's school kids coming through in little groups and stuff. One girl was hysterical. She wouldn't get out of the gift shop and go through the door. She hyped herself up so much, so scared about the prospect of seeing creepy dolls or possessed dolls or debug boxes or whatever it was, that she was almost inconsolable. And I was just listening to it on the other side of the door, and it took them 10 minutes or so to calm her down and just kind of shepherd her through and covering her eyes at certain points. This is like a 10-year-old girl or whatever. But that's a gold mine, right? That's what happened.
I'm just thinking from a teacher's perspective, what paperwork you'd have to do to take a bunch of bloody kids into that place. You
But
know, it's like,
Andy showed that episode to his kids, and they've got these dolls that are like yay big, and his kids are ages, I don't know, sort of between 9, 12, and 17 sort of thing, and they all watched it together as a family, and the younger ones were terrified, and the older ones were like putting the dolls in the other one's bed at night, and they were just absolutely just having to sleep with mum and dad for the night. You know what I mean? So we forget that what we think is very tame and, bit of entertainment or whatever, kids and creepy dolls that come to life, stuff of nightmares, right?
I mean, I have been to a few of them. I've been to the Hinckley Haunted Antique Centre, which is brilliant, and I've investigated there on a few occasions. And I often think, even if it is 5% of those objects have some kind of energetic link to something, even if it's 5%, that's 5% more than most people's houses,
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine taking kids. I couldn't imagine, it's no wonder people are scared. And I was skeptical, I must admit, I was skeptical about that shark girl. Um, that's obviously an art doll that's been made by somebody. Um, I used to make art dolls years ago, and I had to check myself with this because when I was making an art doll, I wouldn't put the eyes on until the very last minute because I didn't want them staring at me when I was sticking pins in them and sewing them and doing all those kind of things. It's like, so how can I be skeptical about that doll called Shark Girl when actually I have this very deep superstition that you can put energy into these what essentially are puppets. So it's this ridiculous notion that dolls can be possessed, but yet we know from witchcraft that puppets have been used for millennia, for all kinds of things, and spirits have been trapped in them, or they're given a sentient life or a sentient being. Um, yeah, I definitely want to go there. I definitely want to go there.
I'm as guilty as for what Justin was saying in that episode, though, where if something weird happens and there's a weird doll, it's very easy to attribute the thing to the doll. And like I psychologically in my head, things were happening in that space, and I didn't
Mm,
attribute to the succubus doll or the nun or anything else that was in there. I attributed it to Shark Girl because it did seem to follow her around, whether that was
mm.
just from me or not. Things were happening in there, and I'm blaming that doll.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, the cat fits. I don't know, but yeah, as usual with all of these things, it throws up more questions than answers. I've never come away from an investigation so far and thought, oh, well, that explains that. Then I've come away going, okay,
yeah.
I don't get it.
You've definitely stepped into that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Definitely stepped into that rabbit hole. And there's two reasons why people that I found within the community, two reasons why generally why people sort of take that plunge and get into the paranormal. And the first one, talking to a lot of people, what got you into it? The general story for a lot of people is someone they loved has passed, or they've had that ghostly experience, or that inexplicable poltergeist activity that went off as a child, and they're looking for answers specifically to do with ghosts and hauntings. And then you get this sort of stream of people, and I definitely put myself into this, that are just the kind of people that would stick their finger into an open socket in the wall to see what happens. It's kind of, it's like there is more to the world. And actually, this is an easily accessible way of exploring that Fortean phenomena, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think the first question is which I think I know the answer to this about which category you land in. And the second part of that question is, um, outside of filming this, what kind of paranormal, supernatural, otherworldly phenomena have you experienced
Mm.
during your lifetime?
Sorry, the first part of the question is
So are you team I got into the paranormal because somebody passed, or I had an apparitional experience, or is it because it's kind of a curiosity, falls under the 14 umbrella of strangeness?
it's a curiosity and then a realization as well. Back to the two parallel tracks in my career, everything that I was writing about in my fictional world was from your Fortean space, really, if I'm honest
Hmm.
about it. So I've always had that interest, and then everything I'm doing in my professional world is filming reality, filming people doing what they do, and all the rest of it. So that crossover, so when it was a penny drop moment where it's like, well, hang on, I can explore all that stuff for real, and isn't truth stranger than fiction most of the time, which I always find out anyway, and always kind of end up admitting I can't make up something half as nuts as what happens on one of these investigations anyway.
Yeah.
If I was going to sit there as a writer and try and cook something up, I'd be hard pushed to come up with some of the things that we've filmed. I really would. So that's kind of why I'm there. Sorry, then the second part being, because I've just had a long day. I'm
That's okay. So supernatural, paranormal, otherworldly experiences. What have you had them in your life that you've kind of banked? I think we all have those strange experiences, but is there
yeah.
any in particular that kind of
Yeah.
has really kind of sparked your interest?
Two or three triggers of things that have just gone that have happened directly personally to me on my own from the age of sort of 23
Hmm.
as a film student. Again, just you know nothing, every time these things happen, they're nothing to do with me exploring that space. It's just that they happen outside of it.
Mm.
So one working in a bar that was three cottages in Bradford that were knocked together into a restaurant. As a student, I would come home and I work in this bar, and I was hearing all these stories, and they captivated me. And people used to live upstairs, and they'd wake up, and there'd be a woman at the end of the bed. All the big grisly kitchen staff would talk about they're all standing over a cigarette at the end of the shift, and those big exit bars, on the heavy doors,
Mm.
you couldn't click to open and close. That they would be standing there, and it would just go by itself, and the door would swing open and then shut. And so everybody had something to say in this place, and I was like, film student, can I spend the night here and film it? And I knew the owners, and I pestered because I was a pain in the arse. I need to do it. Just let me do this, and I wouldn't take no for an answer. And I was getting no a lot. And eventually, it was like, just get back to work and shut up and don't talk about it again. And I was like, okay, okay. So go back into the bar. And there's shifts in this bar. So there's a little, you go into the first cottage, and that's the waiting room. People have a drink, and then when the table's ready, they go through, and that's shift one, early birds. And then the next shift come through after an hour. So you've got time to stock up and clean up and get ready for the next shift. So I was doing that, sat on the floor, stocking up Britvic tonic bottles on the shelf, and I heard the door go, which was a creak and a slam. So they're a bit early coming, so I stood up to greet the customers. There's nobody there. Okay. Go back down to stacking the bottles, and I put one of those little Britvic tonic bottles on the shelf, and it went bang and smashed on the shelf behind me. And I
Wow.
was and I was leapt up, terrified. Went through and told the manager, and she just rolled her eyes at me and said, just like she just had enough of my shit by that point. I'm serious. I'm serious. Go back in the bar and clean it up. So I tried to go back in the bar, and I just just couldn't go in there. Just all hairs on the back of my neck, and it was just like whatever it was, I just said, "Do one," and I never pursued that again. So that was the first one, and I'd kind of forgotten about that. And that was it's only like in recent months when I've actually had to sit back and think about did I have a trigger for why I got into all this? I guess that was like my first paranormal experience, and it was very clear, like back off. Um,
Yeah, definitely. That was like you're not filming here. You
yeah,
know, you're not doing, or it could have been the other side of things where you put in that kind of energy and emotion into wanting to do that, and the spooks have gone, all right, let's give him something. And
yeah,
then you didn't do it. Then you just went, oh no, I'm not doing it. I'm too
right,
scared.
run away. Well,
So
not
what
the
what
greatest
is
story.
what's the holy grail? What would be for you? It doesn't have to be paranormal, it can be anything supernatural. What is the holy grail of not just filming? So let's have filming and experience as separate, or they can be the same one. What's the holy grail of that capture and experience?
Yeah, once when we did the pilot for this, it was called Somerset Supernatural, was it? Something like that. It was all
Mm,
based in Somerset, but the kind of the objective was to get some hard factual evidence, and I'm kind of less interested in that now, to be honest. It's like, yes, we do want to get scientific on some things because it'd be
mhm,
really, really interesting to push that, and we put as much protocol in place as we can. We bring in scientists, we bring in skeptics, we do scientific experiments. I'm all up for that because
mhm,
when something seems viable and that we could do it, I want to kind of push the envelope as
mm,
much as I can. So if we can get beyond casual skepticism, get beyond the professional skepticism, we're into a really interesting place. So
mm,
that would be cool. So I don't have anything specific per se, like some amazing experiment, whatever. I'm kind of yeah, I'm always up for a haunted house or a ghost story or whatever. Brilliant, but that's not the be all and end all. As you say, it's all of it. It's the sort of it's where other things intersect, where other things collide. Without giving away too many spoilers about episode 8, which you're in 7 and 8, so it starts in 7. Your one of your many abilities of remote viewing I find fascinating, so we jump in with that, and to me that's just me exploring stuff because I just find it incredible, so I want to know. So now the opportunity to explore those things with other people and finding allies and like-minded
mm,
people, but not, I mean, I've just got a passing interest. You lot do this stuff, and I'm the kid in the sweet shop now. I'm like, oh wow, so we could do this, and like
mhm,
we could just push stuff and just try it. And if somebody floats an idea, um, I want to see if we can just step it up, step it up, step it up. And when we did like the prison thing, it's like there's always that, as I say, if I don't know that there's some good chemistry or some good B story or something that's going to hold people's interest, I just want to make sure that there's something there
mhm,
that that's kind of juicy enough to hang a story on. The moment I went to the prison, it was like, well, I can't go to the world's most haunted prison and run the risk of not having the fallback. So
mhm,
with that, it was like I did a show about olfactory sensors of dogs, and so just bring in a sniffer dog. They don't lie. They don't make it up. That'll prove the debunker's wrong should anything happen. And then the dog did perform as amazingly hoped. But yeah,
mm,
you can't. I can. All I can do is bring in contingencies and backups and try and support whoever's trying to do whatever they're trying to do with to the best of our abilities. But then they are under the microscope when it's happening because we're throwing more and more and more cameras on it. And if this gets momentum and it's successful, we are going to invest more and more in it. So there'll be, you know, cameras that visualize audio and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to try. We want to try gadgets. We want to try tech. We want to be in virtual studios where we can take somebody to a different space and time and lots of sort of solitary confinement stuff. We want to do lots of kind of remote viewing experiments. Really love, astral projection. It's just the stuff of 70s sci-fi.
Want to do everything. Want to
Bring
do
it
everything.
back. Do it all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's a lot.
Why not?
There's just the fun to be had, I think. If and we don't that's what's really nice as well. It's like everything else I've ever tried to do in my career depends on so many other people. It depends on so many permissions. It depends on so
Mm.
much patience, door knocking and asking for permission. And with this, it's so much fun because we can just ask for forgiveness afterwards. You know what I mean? We can just there's
Who from? Who are you asking forgiveness from? There's nobody out there. There's nobody
well,
out there to ask for forgiveness from.
that's what I mean. We've got a green light to do whatever we want because we're not accountable to anybody, and the only people I guess we're accountable to are YouTube viewers. Do they like what we're doing? And if the
Mm.
answer's no, then it'll be short-lived. If the answer's yes and they encourage us, um, then watch this space. It's
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
be.
it's definitely gaining traction already. Even the, first couple of episodes, it's doing so well with just, minimum put out of advertising. I don't mean minimum from you guys, but just that very, very early sort of advertising just on social networks. Just going back to the kind of the process of it. One of the things that I have really enjoyed about the process and really enjoyed about the process is there is this sense of team. There is this sense of, chucking around ideas and it not being, we've got to do it this way. And, you're so accepting of other people's visions within what you're doing and what you're creating that it does very much feel like a growing family of people. Can you just talk through some of the other investigators, some of the characters, some of them people will know because they are YouTube or TV anyway, to some greater or lesser extent. But there are also people on there that's kind of first time in front of the screen as well. So who's on?
So we've talked about episode one. Episode two is Craig Williams and Amy Cox. Craig, really is how I'm here, him and Karen, because he was my accountant. I remember having
Yeah.
my first meeting with him, like a mutual friend. I think he created their accounts or his company did their accounts. And I said, I need a good accountant. And he put me in touch with him and I met him. I came where I was like, holy shit, he's a paranormal investigator, he's a first responder, he's a Buddhist monk, he's a martial arts, he's a surfer, he's just you name it. It's like this guy does everything. He's just cool. I kind of, yeah, I'm going with them. So I signed up with them straight away, kind of because of that. And then the paranormal stuff kind of happened. So Craig is very, very Zen, and he's very, that's the name of his company as well, and he's very thoughtful and methodical and well read. So he kind of knows what he's doing. So if
Mm,
he's up for doing something, I'm more than happy to follow. And then he brought Amy along with him. I don't know much about Amy, other than my experience with her, and I don't know if it was her first filmed experience, possibly. But together they were a really interesting dynamic, and she's got the sort of same infectious enthusiasm and curiosity that we have, and it's kind of tempered by Craig's anchor the whole time. He's like, well,
yeah.
we can sit and listen before we make a decision. And that's what he does. So I think together that to me that's a really interesting episode because the stuff that comes out of it, as ever, couldn't make it up. Please don't ever accuse of us making it up because we don't.
Mm,
It's just as I say, there's four or five tent poles that we think happened that night, but then when we go into the edit to try and stitch them together, we go on various detours because we hear things that we didn't hear on the night, you
mhm,
know, and then that does inform the story. So for me, it's really interesting because a lot of the storytelling happens in the edit, slightly
mhm.
retrospective, or it just takes a different direction to what I initially thought, or even sometimes what the investigators thought the story was on the
Yeah.
night. I'd be interested to see what you make of your episode because so many things happen throughout the course of the night, but it's only, we're tired. We were there from 7 at night or whatever until the sun came up and we were exhausted and you chucked everything at it, all every different experiment, all the different gadgets and all the rest of it. And it's only when you sort of distill it down and
mm,
you pull out the key moments and then you put them together in one place and you go, it's clear as day.
yeah,
They were talking to you and this is what was said. So,
mm,
it might not sit exactly as it was in your night because there might have been 4 hours in between that experiment and that
mm,
experiment. When you put them together, it actually answers what you're asking there.
yeah,
So crazy. Um, so yes, Walton Castle comes after. So we've got the House of Frankenstein, sorry, which is Katie Goodland, who is. Um, we were really interested in her right from the get-go because she's an academic. She's got a science background. I think she's even a professor at Bath University, and pairing her up with Kev Kerr, as a very well known and hardened skeptic. I thought, well, together, let's them get scientific on it. Why not?
mm,
It's very different to Justin and Diane, their setup. Very different to Craig and Amy. We put those two together, and then Karen and Laurie Jones were the historians who did some research to back up. So they I don't want to give people too much information before they jump into an investigation. So Karen and Laurie knew what was going on, so they did some research on it. Katie and Kev, I wouldn't say they went cold. I mean, everybody knows what the House of Frankenstein is, and I just told them the sort of key beats of the story of things that had happened. The way I do an investigation is I turn up on my own. I'll interview everybody and get the setup. These are the reports. This is what I saw. This is what I saw. This is what happened. La la la. We put that together into a little sort of 4 or 5 minute package, which is the start of the film. And sometimes I show it, and other times I don't. This time I
mm,
showed it to Kev and Katie, so that they go. That's the story. That's what you're going into, and then they gives them time to figure out what they might like to try, or what they might like to try and unpick, or get to the bottom of. And in this one, Kev was deeply convinced that there's a lot of EMF in a building like that, which is an attraction
mm,
and mechanical things and lights flashing and sounds and all this stuff because it's ultimately a museum, but for entertainment purposes. So he was convinced that some of the stories could be quite easily explained
mm,
away, some simple tech or shut offs on things, or things that people have misheard, pareidolia, audio pareidolia, all that sort of stuff. So cool. As far as I was concerned, we're going into an interesting location. We're sending those guys in. There's some history to back it up. As ever,
mm,
let's see what happens. And as ever, completely unprepared and slightly blown away by what does come out. We find one of the most successful televisual experiments so far for us. I hate to say it's been the Estes method. The Estes method comes
mm,
up a lot with a great deal of success, and I understand there's a lot of interpretation that goes with it. So we do everything from our side to make sure that we are transparent with what's going on. The very, very first time I did an Estes method, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. This is cool," and we just kind of filmed it, and then I put it together, and I showed it to somebody in my industry, and they were like, "But what are they talking about? What are they saying?" And they couldn't hear what was going into their ears. So
mm,
I messed up and not put a microphone in there and not considered that.
mm,
So straight, okay. So then, right, of course that needs to happen. So we need to hear what they're hearing, and then we do have to understand that when you're there in the moment, there's an interpretation thing. You think you hear someone shout, I don't know, "Jammy Dodgers," and it
mm,
was, but when we listen to it back in the edit in the cold light of day, we hear, you know, Jamie, blah, 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 and it's
yeah,
different interpretations. So you have to sort of take the middle ground sometimes in our interpretation of that. So I guess there's a slight grey area there, but 9 times out of ten, the response that when it's in response to a question, and we go, okay, that's interesting. There was one that could be interpreted as a response, and then there's another, and then there's another, and then again it just builds the picture by itself, and that one seems to come out a lot. And in the House of Frankenstein, um, really interesting. I mean, I think it says in the trailer it's like who's leading them by the hand, but it did feel like we were just following the breadcrumbs
Yeah.
to be told something, and we're still not entirely sure what we were being told. So a lot of these things do stand for a repeat visit. So a couple of the episodes will have repeat visits after. So after House of Frankenstein, Walton Castle, which is now the infamous one, with Kev and Craig and Corinne and Rachel and Kim around a table having what they all deem as a poltergeist experience. Um, Really frustrating for me that one when I was there on the day because everybody was deeply engrossed and involved in it, and I was out in the cold. I was filming it from the back of a room on a long lens, and I didn't have
Oh
headphones,
no.
and everyone was, "Oh my God, oh my God," and like the crew as well. I'm like, what's going on? And like I couldn't hear anything, and I kept Rob was there, Rob Kingsby, our sound recordist, and he was sitting there with his cans on. He was engrossed. I'm like, what's going on? Don't worry about it. It's all there. I'm like, okay, good. So I was completely in the dark about what was happening. So I just had to roll with it. And then every now
Mhm.
and again, I'm going to say to Kev, for my benefit, can you just explain what's happened? Because I'm like 10 paces behind you all at the minute. And then when he was explaining, I was like, okay, at least I'm in the room now. But then in the edit, when all that came together, it was nuts. And then much later, um, I heard everybody was going back, but I couldn't make it because I was on Narrow Escape Series 2. So Andy said, "Oh, I'll go." And then I'd done a whole day's filming on Narrow Escapes, and Andy was on the phone driving down the motorway. Andy's like, "Come on, just come." I'm like, "That's on a 12-hour shift, mate. Do I have to?" So I went, and I'm really glad I did. And I mean, and we filmed it again. They tried to recreate the experiment, and that was another one of those where lots of stuff happened. Nobody really understood what had happened, and
Mm.
then sit in the edit, and it's just mind blowing what actually was said and what the implications are of everything that went down. And I won't give too much away about that, but it is pretty spectacular. Um, and again, there's interpretation to be had from it, but each of these are shared experiences.
Mm.
So I'm not shy of putting across what happened. So
Mhm.
that's what everybody thought happened, and that's what we think happened, and there it is. We're not being overly prescriptive. And interpret it how you like, but you know,
Yeah.
all I can do is offer my takeaway, which is, yeah, that was nuts.
I think
Didn't
I
make
think
it-
the thing I think the thing is, I mean, I know a vast majority of people, investigators who were on there, and they are all investigators that I would absolutely 100% um, be comfortable with knowing that they are in it for the truth.
yeah,
So if I was to go out on an investigation with them, I wouldn't question any
yeah,
of them. I wouldn't think, oh, they're hyping that up, or they are there's any tomfoolery or any fakery, or I mean, these are all serious people, and they would rather sit for hours and hours and hours
yeah,
and and get a knock on the wall
yeah,
than trying to elicit things. It was interesting when you were saying about it's open to interpretation as well, and the Estes method is one that you were saying about, and you use the term jammy dodgers. What interests me about that is there are some times when you listen to things back and you think that doesn't say what that person said, and I've seen this on other TV programs that didn't say that. What one theory could be put out there that actually spirit are using that kind of static noise anyway, and it's something that sounds familiar, but they're almost implanting on a telepathic level. I know this is really way out there as another explanation for that. So it's even when we look at things that could be, a little bit rickety on the interpretation, it's like there is another level. There is always another level and another level on top of that we have to look at. But going back to that aspect of totally I have a total belief in everybody who's been on that show that they are absolutely 100% genuine because they they that,
reputation on the line. Basically, that's kind of it does boil down to that because they put themselves out there on a regular basis as this, and they take it very, very seriously.
mm,
So. and that's what gives me the confidence. Is like if I'm on a long lens at the back of that room and I don't know what's going on, but they're all immersed and engrossed and responding to something, I know something's happening.
Yeah,
That's there's no messing around there at all. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I would definitely trust them, and it's nice to have the self-proclaimed skeptics like Kevin and Justin in the mix of things as well, because it's kind of a when you've got people like that within an investigation, it's almost like a qualifier when things something does go off,
Yeah.
that you may have thought that there's loads of things gone off on a woo-woo side of things, and then when a skeptic goes, you're
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, we
It's
know.
then going back to the sort of the drama analogy again as well. It's like if you've got somebody who's a complete and utter believer and everything's paranormal, and you put them in a situation and lo and behold, something paranormal happens, there's no drama in that. It's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you
Yeah,
get somebody who's from the hardcore skeptic, no, Kim way, I'm gonna debunk every single thing that comes my way, and yet they still can't debunk something, then it becomes interesting, then it becomes dramatic, then you've got a character because you've got jeopardy, and
yeah.
that's what makes these things work. So I think, yeah, moving forward, the more skeptics we can put in the hot seat
Mm,
under the God
yeah.
helmet or whatever it is we choose to do to them, with them, not to them.
With
Yeah,
with their consent, definitely.
hopefully that's what they don't want to do. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, ultimately, we, as you say, um, we're not making a movie. We're
Mm,
we're documenting what happens, so we can all have a conversation about what we'd like as an experiment. But it's the willing participants for their own agenda and for whatever it is that they want to get from that, or what knowledge they're looking for, what scientific they're trying to understand, or whatever it may be. We're happy to be there and document. So yeah,
brilliant.
have a documentarian's role to a degree.
To a degree. And
Yeah.
also part of the investigation. Just very, very quickly, I don't want to miss anybody out of this because there's some fantastic
Of course,
people
yeah.
on board. Can you just sort of just run through the others who are taking part?
Investigator wise or team wise. I mean,
All, all,
I've got to give absolute props to Andy Bourne, who's my partner in
yeah.
crime in this. He goes above and beyond for everything he does and everything he gets involved with. He's brilliant. He's like the best cinematic drone operator I've ever met. He's a great cameraman. He's done all the post production on the whole series. Now, just for context on that, we're making 10, 30-minute ish episodes. And yeah, you know how the investigations go. I spend months putting the edit together. And then once we've locked it off and we've got the story and we're happy and we've got it all scripted and all the voiceover as we want. It goes to Andy, and then he makes it something that looks and sounds presentable, like and
Mhm.
and and good. Normally, ranging from edit assistants to edit producers, um, to dubbing mixers, you've got a team. Somebody for everything. Andy is doing it all on his own. So, I mean, it beggars belief. Every series I've ever worked on, he's doing like a 12 person strong job on his own, doing every last bit of it. And if any bit of it fails or falls short, it reflects on him. So again, his reputation on the line. He doesn't want that to happen. He's doing
Mm,
everything. So fair play. Rob Kingsbury has done some sound. Will Morley has done one episode in the prison. I haven't mentioned Dr. Kate Sherrill yet, who's brilliant.
mm.
She did Shut to Man at Prison, which is episode 6, which is again phenomenal and really creepy. Um, yes, communication with inmates, I would say high probability.
Yeah, I'm there this weekend, so
Oh gosh,
it's one of my regular event companies haunts, if you like, and yeah, it's an incredible place.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to miss anybody out either, so I need to now think where else we go. We went with Chris Howley
Mhm.
at the Costume Museum with Um, Help me out here. His wife, whose name suddenly eludes me just because I've had a very long
I
day.
can see her face as well. I can see her face.
Oh, this is awful. I'm so sorry. Lucy Bilton. Lucy
There you
Bilton. Yes. So Lucy Bilton was the medium in part one of the costume hire investigation, and that was probably the second investigation we did. Really interesting stuff. Um, it's it's medium based, so it's less scientific, but it's fascinating, and that's why it opened things up that we needed to explore it again. The
go.
stories that are so engaging and interesting, and she tapped into them and had quite a strong hit rate of probably three or four things that tallied with the owner's stories, and they absolutely 100% visited blind. I gave
Hmm.
them nothing but a car park address to meet in Froome. Met them there. They didn't know where they were going. We rigged the car with GoPros and 360 cameras and stuff, and gave them a what three words address. We'll see you there. And when they pull up outside and see it for the first time, that literally is them seeing it for the first time. So every time she hits against something that is 100% genuine. But again, there's nothing firmly definitive there, or as definitive as we would like. So when we come back with you, we have a completely different approach, as you are aware, and we kind of pick up where that left off. Because, as I say, a lot of these warrant repeat investigations. Shepton Mallet, as you know, how many times can you go to Shepton Mallet and have experiences? I'm sure many for you, but the costume hire place, phenomenal. And then after your and Lucy's two episodes there, we go to Walton Castle, which starts in the edit tomorrow for me. Um,
No.
yeah, so it's huge. We've got Diane coming back to that one. We've got Corinne coming to that one. We've got Lisa Holman and Katie Goodman again.
Mhm.
So there's the four of them. They were kind of at the moment, like say I've got my sort of tent poles of what I think the story is. That's what's going to be really interesting because I've got my preconception of what my episodes are going to look like from it, and I know the key things that happened that are interesting and a bit wild. But until I get involved in the edit, I don't know. They were all kind of riffing on this kind of girl power thing, and because of what that castle is, and because of its history, some of the things they encountered were unfortunately quite misogynistic, or it
Yeah.
seemed that way. And whether that was a response to them shazamming it up with the whole girl power thing, I don't know. But again, weird and fascinating and slightly disturbing.
Mm.
Um, but it's a crazy place, and it's got its own history, its own raft of stories, which we were really interested in exploring. We kind of tried a couple of them, didn't really get anything from them. But then the other things that happened, as usual, just like sucker punched us from another angle, and we're like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's that's a crazy place, and I'm sure you can investigate that one forever. Um,
Hmm.
and then you were talking about Halloween recently and how the veil is thin there. And then when I started looking at some of the rushes, they're all talking about some of the staff refuse to work there at Halloween.
Yeah.
It's so active, and there's a portal in one of those rooms, according to numerous members of staff, and nobody will go near it on Halloween. Maybe we should. Maybe we should go
Definitely.
there.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's everybody. I think Jacob did the music for us, and Paul Saunderson helped originally with the score for the pilot, and then Jacob Maloney came in, and he's kind of his, I don't know if understood is the right word, but they work together, and he's a brilliant up and coming composer, and he put everything into doing that for us. So they've done an amazing job. But other than that, that is kind of the extent of our team. And then Karen is our connector to all the investigators. And then it's whatever location and story we can make stick whenever.
Mhm.
And it's all happened. I guess the investigations we're probably spanning 16 to 18 months in what you see in this series of investigations that are done as and when. So we've all got
Yeah.
dates and stuff, and then we shoot when we can, and then we can spend 3 months editing one flipping episode. So I can't just underestimate how many hours of my time and Andy's time have been poured into every single episode, and it's hundreds and hundreds. It's not viable in the real world. If, as
Mhm.
I say, the 12 people involved in the post production process in telly, the amount of time hours they would have had to spend in it would have made the production budget just exorbitant and just not viable. On It would have been shut down a long time ago. So that's the beauty of just having really two people driving the whole thing, from a
Mhm.
production point of view. It means it happens, but it just takes a long time. And then it's peaks and troughs for us. It's like I can be really busy editing, and then what's Andy doing? He's off on a job for somebody else, and I'm like a bit miffed. He's being
Yeah.
paid, and I'm bankrupt and just editing in a darkened room on my own. But now it's payback. It's the other way. I'm off on jobs, and Andy is I, he's not drowning in post production. He's swimming through it, but he's doing.
Mm.
I mean, and I can't help him. He's on his own with it. It's just nuts. But he's doing it and he's delivering it. It's just
And it definitely works. I mean, the you can get definitely see the sense of passion in what you're putting together and the quality of it. And I think people will be incredibly surprised when they watch it. A, it's on YouTube, because of the level of quality of it, but a lot of people are moving over to that platform, um, for various different reasons because they can take control over it. But it's free. It's free for anybody to watch at any time. There's no subscription fees. There's no Patreon. There's nothing behind it other than people can watch it, and it is incredible quality on that platform. It's
that
incredible
was the
TV
that was the
quality.
trial. That was the trial for us. It was like I've ummed and ahed about it for so long, and I've been talking about it as like the alternative because TV is scheduled TV, whether we like it or not, and some people in my industry will
Mm,
shoot me down. So you can't be saying things like that. But it's kind of people aren't watching. They're
mm,
not watching, so therefore, no chances. No one can afford to take a risk. That's why we're getting the same stuff in the paranormal space because
mhm,
no one's going to commission something that tries to do things differently. That we're not living in the 90s. This isn't like
mm,
Channel 4 having fun with whatever they feel like, or let's give this a chance, let's give that a try. There's no R&D testing space now. They're going for
mm,
tried and tested, repeatable, long-running formats that they know people tune into, and that's it. So there's no
mm,
space outside of that. And I've told you about how hard the bloody independent filmmaking thing is. Even if you do get one away and off the ground, and the chances of you actually making money and making a career from it are practically non-existent, or just rely on a whole lot of luck. So it's like
mm,
there must be another way because people are consuming content. There's more platforms. There's more devices. Everybody's hungry for something.
mm,
Um, where do you do it? And then so I've been saying it for so long. Eventually, I was just like, you know what? Let's just make it for that purpose. If that's what people want to see, and we can make it, and we want to be making that, so let's just do it and put it out there, and we'll see. And we don't know. So it is nail biting.
mm,
We've sunk time and effort and money into it, but all we're asking for is just watch it. You don't have to like it. Just if you do like it, give it a thumbs up. If you
yeah.
don't like it, be nice. That's all. But if you can subscribe, then that helps us. All we need is people to subscribe and then watch it, and then that will enable us to continue. So even if you don't like an investigation that you watch, I'm sure you will, but if you don't, then it will enable future ones that you might well like. So
Mm,
just that's the ground level of support we're hoping to get, and it's going really well so far. I was speaking to some YouTubers today, and they were like, "Oh, you've got 850 subscribers in 3 months. That's amazing." I was like, "No, it's in 2.5 weeks." And they were like, "Oh my God, that puts you like in the 0.01." upper echelon of YouTube and what they're looking for at the moment. And I'm like, is that good? You know, so again, we're just testing it. We don't know where it's going to go, but we just like the idea that it's ours, and nobody can take it away, and we can go where we want with it if it's successful. If it's not, then we'll just dust down and think of something else. But I do want to do a lot more in the paranormal space, even if it's not this series or continuation of this series. If I'd love to get more paranormal into the mainstream,
Mm.
if that makes sense. So I'm
Okay.
plenty of other little things bubbling away in the background. So if one sticks, then it should enable more stuff to happen. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's probably it feels like it's one of the best professional decisions I've made in many years.
Mm.
I'm pleased with
Yeah, I
where.
mean, I mean, not only is and I'm not just saying this because I'm involved, but not only is there a quality, it looks different and feels different. For me, this first raft of investigations almost seems like it's planting a fresh garden. So it's going to grow, it's going to be organic things, I think everybody in it will grow in a very organic way. And I think, all those nuances and the kind of relationships that people have on screen and stuff like that will flourish as well. So it's almost like a journey of the investigators as well as the investigation itself and people coming out and understanding different characters because of course we know I know Kate Sherrill, I know Kev Kett, I know Lorian, I know Karen, and I know a raft of them quite well, um and they are such interesting people to see sort of elements of them coming out, like with Justin and his skepticism and his sarcasm and stuff, and just to see those glimpses is quite tantalizing, really.
I thought Justin said, I think Justin was a bit nervous before he saw the first one, and I said, okay, you can see it in advance before it goes out. He said, okay, thanks. You've left my sarcasm in, and you've not made me look like a tit, so I'm happy with
Yeah, yeah, they're always good qualities. Just don't make me look
that.
like an idiot. That's definitely a good one.
That's
So
not.
in a nutshell, what is the Supernatural UK? What is it?
I guess people are saying it's observational documentary series. It's 10 episodes, but it's the main USP is it's real people, it's real places, real stories, real investigations,
Mm,
um, and that's it. So we're not approaching it with any agenda. Just wide-eyed naivety and a lot of optimism. So you got to be optimistic to be a filmmaker.
yes.
Like you've got to be optimistic to be a paranormal investigator. You want stuff to happen. We all want stuff to happen, of course we do. But I'm not gonna make out like something's happened or
Hmm.
happening if it isn't. So it's honest.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like I wouldn't dream of misconstruing something that an experience of yours on screen, you'd never
Mhm.
speak to me again for a start. And so it just needs to be open and honest and transparent, and then everyone's along for the ride. That's what I hope is going to happen.
Mhm.
And as I say, it is really grassroots right now. No
Mhm.
one knows it. We've not made anything like this before. Don't think anybody else has. If it finds an audience, we'll just keep going with it, and
I
as you
think it will.
interesting. What the other side of it that's just I've never thought of. Like I never thought of myself being in front of the camera. I've always run away from it. Absolutely. But the idea that you know some of you guys are getting a bigger profile from doing it as well. That's like, oh, these are like to me, these are like a happy, side effects of what we've done. It's like, and Kev's doing all kinds of extra investigation around the table scratches now and
Mm.
trying to develop new bits of tech to understand, scratches through fabric and different materials and that sort of thing. So all that can gives us a follow on to these things. It's
Mm.
like if he comes up with more and more ways to try and understand what happened, we're happy to follow that all the way because again, that
Mm.
he's breaking new ground. Then great stuff. Yeah.
I think that that's where everybody's in tune as well. It's like it's not just a one-stop shop. Everybody is saying, what is the next thing? What is the next stage? How do we look at this? How do we re-examine that in a different way to try and explain it? Nobody, I don't think anybody across the board of those investigators will say, I'm an expert and I know.
No.
I think everybody will say, I'm curious to find out. I need to know where this goes.
I'm having a similar conversation today with my partner Kate. We were just talking about it, and I said, "Do you know what I really like about everybody that I've met in the paranormal space? No one claims to have any answers. Everybody goes in there out of interest and intrigue and curiosity, and they want to know and they want to understand. But no one, I've not met anybody who comes in with this kind of steadfast, dogmatic belief in one thing or another. It's just like, everyone's just open-minded. They've obviously come from different walks and got different belief systems and all the rest of it, but everybody's open-minded to what might take place. I just think
I
that's really
think you
cool.
I think you've met the right people. There is a Church of the Paranormal that is very prescriptive, and
Right.
people step in and out of it. I've seen characters step in and out of that where they absolutely believe that that is verbatim how it is, and they won't be wavered until something wavers them. And it's not just skeptics. It's there has been lots of discussion about that notion of paranormal church. Is it a new religion? Is it a religion? So you have met some amazing people who are very open-minded and very good at what
Well,
they do.
maybe by the sounds of it.
Uh, yeah, so yes, I don't know where I was at then.
Well,
Um,
there's no Kool-Aid in this church anyway. I don't think, it's just like
yeah,
so far we're along to explore. We're all
yes,
explore.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So very, very quickly, is the future of because of the title of the Supernatural UK, is it going to be just contained within ghost hunting and that side of the paranormal, or have you got sort of dreams and wishes of it of expanding out into the world?
As I say, it's not a ghost hunting show. Yeah, it's as broad and eclectic and weird as and wonderful as life can be. I would hope, and we'll just see where it takes us. But yeah, uncharted stuff.
Yeah.
Hope that's my goal. That's my goal, just to go places where I haven't gone before. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just the remote viewing thing. I remember hearing a story about this 25 years ago. And my mate worked on the Richard and Judy show. He was a producer, and he told me
Mhm.
this crazy story. This is way before I was remotely involved or interested in any of this stuff. And they'd had some guy. I don't know who he was. Maybe some of your viewers might be able to help with this. I'd love to find it. But I remember him telling me this story that I just couldn't get my head around. And he said this guy came into the studio and we did an experiment, and he said he could view things remotely, and we put something in a box, we wrote something, and he wrote it himself.
Mhm.
And they took it off on a motorbike across London, and they had cameras following and all the rest of it. This live experiment might have ended up in Battersea Dog's home or something, or power station. I can't remember. It was something. Anyway, and this guy drew it and pinpointed what it was, and it was ridiculously accurate. And he told me a story, and I was just like, shut up, what? And I just couldn't get my head around it, and I never forgotten it. And then in years later, I hear about the term remote viewing, and then I went down that rabbit hole for a bit. And I was always saying to Craig and Karen, I need to meet somebody who does this. And then I think we've been talking for ages. Then it just
Mm.
pops up in conversation. Sorry, excuse me. So yeah, it's just all that stuff is just I just find it
I think
amazing.
I think for me, like a lot of the investigators on the show, it's like when you've been, you've got certain tools in your kit. When you do something, you don't really think it's just a tool in your kit. And it's like with a
Sorry, there's,
medium,
there's 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 a difference between having a cat ball in your kit and the ability to enter someone's home from 1,000 miles away. That's it's not the same
Yes, man.
toolkit.
A little bit, but I mean, mediums. People don't freak out about mediums being able to get information from the spirits of the dead. It's kind of very accepted, very normal. And for me, that's just the same. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, I'm a medium," I go, "Oh, great, that's great." Um, so when I say, that I do remote viewing, but I do it on an energetic level. I say it like a medium would say it, and forget I forget that it's a tool in my toolkit, if you like. It's just another string, really. You can do it. I am going to teach you all. One of these days, I'm going to teach you all. It's definitely on there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll put Andy in the hot seat for that one as well. And Andy definitely
Yes.
to take part in these because he's I mean, I wouldn't say he's a complete skeptic or he's very scientific and is kind of quite a mathematical, technical head on him.
Mm,
So he was quite, yeah, you're doing what? Okay. And he kind of came along for a bit for the ride started, but now he's just like, what's going on? This is interesting. And,
mm.
I think he actually would like to get more involved in some of these experiments as well. Like,
I think it would seriously blow his mind, and I think once I think once somebody from that kind of logical perspective starts to open up to the fact that the world is more chaos than logical, that all things can and will happen. It's just he'll be living in India as some guru by the end of this.
that would be funny.
He'll have seen the light, and that'll be it. He'll be levitating and all that jazz.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. All right, there's a challenge
Mm.
for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's let-
Don't think that
let's take
I'm gonna
Andy.
get him there.
Brilliant.
Bless. Right, before we go, because I realise that I am taking up a huge amount of your time this evening. So just before you go, where can people find you across social media, and also obviously it's YouTube, but what are people looking for on YouTube and social media?
It's important to have that the in front of it. So
There.
that was what it was. I think we were called Supernatural Britain or something to start with, but we kind of teased it, but we'd not launched anything, and then somebody else got the YouTube domain for it, and we're like, oh, and we panicked on the day, and then we just had to find something that worked across. There's nothing deep or meaningful about the naming and the branding of it. It's the Supernatural UK
Mhm.
at goes before it for YouTube, so it's YouTube/ at the Supernatural UK. But then every denomination of at the Supernatural UK, which should you find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Yeah, and that's where we are at the moment. We do have a Patreon, and what we're thinking, we've got some exciting things in store for Patreon. It's not just like, oh, get uh, exclusive access to something ahead. It's like we're talking sort of armchair investigators stuff. We're talking about sort of participation stuff that people haven't seen before, where
Brilliant.
basically you can come along with us, albeit
Mm.
from not physically, but you can be there and share the experience. So we're working on stuff there as well, which is really exciting. We just need a bit of breathing space, like we get the series out and up because every time we do an episode, we have to have a trailer with it as well, and then we're kind of running out of trailers, so we're kind of cutting trailers as quick as we can. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Patreon is coming, but it's not some crass way of just trying to make money or whatever. Again, it's just trying to do something that's interesting and a bit different that people haven't had before, and more immersive and more involved for people at home. So if they are in for the ride like we are, then they can be a part of it. So yeah, watch that space. But that's also Patreon at the Supernatural UK or something. It's all at the Supernatural UK.
I've got one last question. I promise it is the one last question, but it's just come to mind, and just because you were saying about Patreon. So, right at the very beginning, you use a set of tarot card that's developed around each of
Yeah,
the investigators and are given sort of an archetypal name of their choice to come up in the. That intrigues me that's the starting point anyway. Is there in the future going to be merchandise? I need a deck of those cards. I want to see because I'm a tarot reader. I want to see whether they're going to work on the same level as a normal pack.
possibly. I mean, they've been really popular. I know that much. Everybody really likes them. I can't remember exactly how that came to be. I can't trace back in the all the ideas of it all. I mean, Andy made them all himself, and that was quite a time-consuming process. And yeah, I mean, we're trying to build the channel, first and
Yeah.
foremost. Um, and I've seen that people do merch and stuff. I don't want to have black t-shirts with the Supernatural UK on them and us strutting around calling ourselves paranormal investigations in spooky castles wearing them. That's not the intention. But yeah, some cool merch. I'd be
Mm,
quite up for that. It's things that are, you know, bit different,
different.
bit interesting. We're building a ghost tank at the moment, which it's too much information about. That's going to be interesting. Thinking about having maybe a we've got a van, so maybe the mobile podcast that goes out from
Mm.
some of the locations as well, just to have that sort of more live and immersive stuff. We'll see where we go with the Facebook. Maybe we can do some live streaming stuff as well. Don't know. Um,
Yeah,
Tolerate 12 hours of wandering around somewhere dark and gloomy, then it's not
sounds
just
good to me.
yeah, so there's lots of things that we can do, but as I say, the most important thing at the moment is just to get traction on the YouTube, get it up and running.
Mhm.
If it clicks in and it puts us on the YouTube payroll, then anything that gets made from it is going to be reinvested back into it, which would be better tech, better kit, more investigations, more experiments, and then ultimately more armchair investigator stuff. I don't know if that'll be the name of the strand, maybe something like that. I don't know.
No, I
Uh,
like that. I like that. Armchair investigator. Yeah,
yeah, so maybe
it's
that.
good.
Yeah, Patreon/armchair investigator. It's not, no, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say that because somebody will nick it now and it'll be gone.
I know,
Yeah,
I think that's good. I think that's good. And I think what you'll find from the viewers of Hare in the Hawthorn is there are a lot that sort of traverse lots of um different avenues of the Fortean, and they won't have picked up on the Supernatural UK because they are not particularly immersed within the paranormal. So to all my viewers out there, please make sure that you click subscribe, and give it a watch. I think you'll find it interesting. It's not there for the jump scares. So for those of you who are more fairy minded, or more Bigfoot, then it's proudly about the investigation and not about scaring the bejesus out of you. Although there are some pretty intriguing moments, I would say. Not so much on the dark side, but that, seasoned investigator, I kind of, I think it would take Satan coming up to me nowadays for me to to
yeah,
be really scared.
yeah.
So, John, I want to thank you so much. I'm going to have to get you back. I'll get you back at some point a bit later on down the line with some
Likewise,
of
we'll
the.
get you back as well. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that was so much fun. That was so much fun. And we'll have a chat with some of the other investigators as well to get their perspective. So maybe do a round table with a few of them, um, just to see what their take is and to let people know. So
Yeah,
thanks so much.
yeah. Thank you.
And
Good.
anything else that you want to add? Anything coming up? Anything work-wise for you that you want to say
No,
before we go?
just every Monday, 7 p.m. There's another 8 to come. If I get the last
Yeah,
two edited in time.
you will. You will.
We
So every
will.
Monday.
There's
Monday night's a good night because it's a boring night for a lot of people. So yeah.
Monday at 7 UK time. There'll be a new drop for the next 7 weeks. And then
Awesome.
if we manage to sort of recut various bits and pieces, there might be a continuation from that as well, which we want
Mhm.
to keep. But yeah, that's it really. And subscribe if you like it, and just subscribe if you don't like it, but you will like it.
Everybody, all my watchers will subscribe. They're all absolutely adorable people, and they'll do it even if they're scared of the paranormal. They'll just subscribe and never watch it. So
Yeah,
they're definitely in for the support. But let us know what you think. Comment below. I'll put a link in for that YouTube on the comments. You know what I'm like with this. It won't come up straight away. It'll be 3 days later when I've remembered, or one of you have bothered me about it, because you know what I'm like with technology. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much, John, for coming along. And we will see you all very soon.
having me. Cheers.